My name is Atif Ashraf Qureshi and I'm a former first class cricketer and now a sports psychologist. I make these videos about the mental side of batting, cricket, and why I do that is because I believe that cricket is about 80% mental and 20% physical. So you come to a stage where you've done all the things which has made you physically right for cricket, technically right for cricket as well, but then you have to work on your brain so you can perform consistently well and go onto the top level. And that's what all the great cricketers around the world do, which make them such a great player. So in my videos, we'll be talking about different mental skills you can use to perform consistently and on different levels. In this video today, we'll be talking about the bad patch every cricketer has to go through. And I'm sure all of us, we have to go through this situation where you think you're out of form, you can't play the ball, and your confidence level goes very low. And when it goes low, then you start thinking about too many things which are mainly negative, and the only thing you have to do right is the basics is just to play the ball, and this is the only thing we don't do. So in the video today, we'll be talking about how to focus more, how to concentrate, and how to stay positive at all times. So I hope you will like it. Thank you very much. Hello, Simon. So the topic today is all the batsmen going through bad form. And as I told you before, when you're going through a bad form, there is a very bad place for the batsman. Yeah. And why it's bad is like, cricket has become your identity. You start playing cricket professionally on the top level and everybody's watching your performances. But if you're not doing well, then obviously you get a lot of criticism from your friends, from the people who are around you. And there's a lot of negativity as well. So you can't basically hide from all these people. So now I want to help all these cricketers who are going through bad form, because sooner or later, everybody will have to go through the same procedure. I went through it. I had a lot of problems, but now I want to help all these cricketers. So what do you suggest we should do?
Yeah, and you know what it's like when you go through those periods of poor form. It's infuriating, it's frustrating, you put your heart and soul into your game, and then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, it all starts to fall to pieces. First of all, we have to understand that it's something that everybody has to go through. Okay, there is no escape. It doesn't make any difference if you play once a week, if you are a first-class Test cricketer. There will be times when your form starts to dip. And I always look at it in a way that I always say to people, well, to me, it's almost nature's way of testing us to see, how bad we want it. Because, when things don't go right, we very often just say, oh, I'll forget them. I just put my bat down and I leave it. But it's the ones that actually understand it differently who are the ones that come out of that as much, much better players. So I think the first thing that happens is that when form starts to dip, the confidence goes down considerably. And I think the misconception people have is that they seem to think that they lose confidence, okay? But we don't. Confidence is always there. But what we do have is a change of focus. So when you have a change of focus, what I mean by that is when you're playing well, when you're playing confidently, you always are expecting to hit the ball well. You're expecting to stay on the pitch for a while. You're expecting to accumulate a lot of runs. These are all about confidence states. But when form starts to drift, confidence goes down, we then start to focus on potentially things that don't go particularly well, things that start to go wrong. So the first thing we have to understand is that it's a change of focus and not a loss of confidence, because then when we use the words losing confidence, we seem to think that that's it. And you hear it in sports at every single level, people losing confidence. They need some confidence. Confidence is a feeling. It's like an emotion, and we can have it whenever we want it. And we perhaps will put more videos out exactly how to achieve that. But let me give you an example, is that I worked with a lady who was a show jumper a few years ago now, and she experienced a really bad fall to the point where it was actually life-threatening at one point. So when she got back onto the horse, inevitably her confidence had drifted quite considerably. So what we did was I explained to her that, first of all, I said to her, so how do you know your confidence is low? And she said, because every time I come to the fence, I'm just holding on for dear life. It's kind of like, it's just the worst feeling imaginable. So I said to her, okay, so what we need to do is obviously to change this focus. Instead of expecting things to go wrong, so instead of kind of holding back and going inside and almost begging that this event is nearly all over, I want you to go into attack mode. So I want you to attack the fear. And the way that she did that, to begin with, was to go back to basics. And I mean the most fundamental basics. So instead of, thinking too far ahead, like we spoke about a few videos ago, it was just about staying in the moment, in the present time. So by staying in the present time, she was then able to focus on the very, very basics. Because once you go back to kind of like ground zero, focus on the basics, then you can start to build up gently, and then you can start to become the player that you were before. So you start to get your confidence back and you start to retain some form. But obviously basics means different things to different sports. So my question to you really is as far as cricketers are concerned, or more specifically batsmen, what would you say to them when we say to them, look, to get the focus back, to get the confidence back, to get your form back, the first thing you need to do is to go back to basics? How would you describe basics to a batsman?
First of all, when you're going to a bad form, you do everything apart from watching the ball. So, which is the most important thing. And I won't blame the batsman because, like I said to you before, because you're going through such a bad failure, that your confidence level is down, your focus is down, your body language is really down. So obviously all of those things contribute for not having a lot of confidence. So what I used to do was like, I used to go back to the nets again. I used to put a lot of practice in nets. And if I had a coach, I will ask my coach to like do a bit of work with me, because obviously there's a lot of time there's technical issues with you. And how to find either it's a technical issue or mental issue is like, you can always see your past 4 or 5 innings and see like how many times you're getting out on the same problem. So if the biggest problem I had in my career was like in swing, whenever my head was used to fall, I used to have problem with the in swingers. So when I had problem with the in swingers, I used to get bowled out or LBW a lot. So you can find a pattern there that your head is falling. That's why you're getting out with the in swingers. So you can work on the technique first. But like I said to you before, like if I reflect back on my career, 30 times is technical issues and 70 times it was the mental issue. So when you work on your technique, then you get the confidence back, and then you go to the match again. But a lot of time the problem is like you are in the net mode when you go to the match mode as well. So what I'm trying to say is like, again, in the mind you're thinking, okay, I'm learning, I'm practicing, I'm learning. But whenever you go to the match, you're not learning, you're not practicing, you have to give it 100%.
Yeah.
So then in your mind, you have to say, as soon as I cross the line, I have to be in the match mode. And the match mode is, you don't have any problem, you don't have any technical issues, confidence is gone. I mean, you have the confidence, you just have to play the game. Yeah. And when I was doing my research in my master's, I came across body language and the fact of body language on your performances. And I actually did research on about 100 top class batsmen, and most of them, when they performed in test cricket or difficult conditions, their body language was really good. So what I mean to say by body language good is, like, if you're an experienced coach or a cricketer, as soon as somebody's walking into bat, you can tell by his body language that he'll perform today. Why? Because his shoulders are upright. He's not looking at too many things. Yeah. He's just concentrating on the playing the ball, and he's not fussy about anything. So the best thing I would suggest people to is like, you need to improve your body language. Yeah. And how does body language improve is by your thought process.
Yeah.
So in your mind, the best technique I used to apply was, in your mind, you just have to tell your mind that I got 100 in the last game. Yeah. So when you tell your mind they've got 100 the last game, all of a sudden, so it's basically, it's a technique called imagery. So in imagination, you tell yourself, okay, I got 100 in the last game. So all of a sudden, you have to embrace that technique. You have to embrace that situation. As soon as you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your mind tells your body you got 100, your body language improves. And with the same body language, if you go on to bat, your mindset is totally different. So instead of thinking about the failures, you're thinking about, like you said, attack mode. You think about, okay, I got 100. So now how do I make my 100 into 200? So you're not playing from zero, and you're not thinking about, okay, you got like really bad runs in the last game. You're always thinking about, okay, I'm really confident. So it always works for me. Yeah. And I would suggest all of our listeners to apply that technique as well and see how it goes.
Absolutely. Perfect. It always occurs to me that kind of the world-class players, do you know what, when we're playing well, when everything's going well, it's easy, isn't it? It's easy to kind of go out with kind of just enjoy it and say, yeah, I'm in a great state. It's when form dips, the world-class players still somehow kind of understand that it's temporary and they will regain it, and there's ways of doing that. They also understand that they're the same person. So although form has dipped, they're actually exactly the same person as the player that plays really well and the player that suffers a little bit of misfortune or their form dips. And I remember working with a guy, and to really drive that home, we used to come up with a little nickname for him. So whenever I spoke to him, I used to do these little videos for him and little podcasts. And we always used to call him the Ninja Assassin. We used to call him the world-class Ninja Assassin. And he used to respond to that so well. So whenever he'd have his headphones on, he would always remind himself who he was. So no matter what the performance was, he'd understand the person was exactly the same. So the person would be permanent, but the form would be temporary. But you're absolutely right, being able to go down to basics, refocus, and understand that if you've played well in the past, then you can play well in the future. You play well now. and if something isn't going particularly well, then look at it as feedback. Always look at the result as feedback. If it hasn't gone well, then say, okay, there needs to be some changes made, and that's fine. So what are they? Are they psychological, or are they practical? In which case, I'll work them out, make the little changes, and off we go again. See, that's the exciting thing. If sport was all about just going up and up and up and up and up and no challenges whatsoever, I actually think we'd get quite bored with it, because that's the thing that makes humans unique. We love the challenges.
I think it's the same rule in your life as well. Like, every time if you're happy, then I'm sure you get bored as well. So that's why you have toughness in your life as well, so you can come out of it, and it makes you a strong character.
Yeah. No, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Do you know what? I was just thinking, I think what we should do is, I know that we do remind people and say, look, let us know what your difficulties and the challenges that you face. But what would be really great, form is something that everybody at every level will enjoy and find challenging when it dips. We'd really, really like to know kind of how you get on with particularly this discussion, and say that, did it help? What else do you need? And absolutely anything at all in your game, because that's what we're here for. So let us know the difficulties. Let us know. I mean, you're a player. You understand exactly what it's like out in the field. You understand all of those challenges. But I'm sure you'd agree, there will be players that say, I've got this one, but is that, maybe I shouldn't even ask that. Maybe it's a really dumb question. Look, there are no dumb questions. There are no dumb questions whatsoever, because if there's something which is getting in the way, you need to ask, because we will find an answer for you. We will always find an answer for you. You implement it, see how it goes. See us as your kind of personal coaches. We're here to help. So make sure you do that, because it's fundamentally important.
One last thing, what I've realized in my whole career is, whenever I used to go through tough times, I used to isolate myself. Obviously, you get isolated because, like I said to you before, cricket becomes your identity. So you get kind of ashamed getting in front of people and ask them questions. So I would suggest to all the cricketers who are going through bad form that you don't have to isolate. You have to come forward and ask people the question, what's happening wrong with you? Absolutely. Mentally, physically, technically. You need to be able to go back to your coaches, your peers, your parents, any sports psychologist you can have help from. You need to ask them what your problem is, because trust me that, we always talk about enjoying the journey, but when you're going through bad form, your journey can get really depressing. So you need to surround yourself with people you can always ask them. And like you said before, you have to just like and subscribe to our channel. and share our videos with other people who you think are going through back form as well. And they can always talk to us. They can always ask us about any problem, and we will be here to make videos on that. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Mate, great talking to you today.